It's like the same size.
Computer appears with this. And just see how you like the
Yeah. Thank you.
So I figured you ain't want it looking down on you, cause
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm not. Hey y'all. Trying to see if we get some more folks up on here. Because I didn't want to stop. Well, I don't know. Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. I'm just posting on Facebook. Again. Alright. I'm going to just come on. All right. Hey, friend.
Hey, friend.
Friend got the soundtrack for me. Got the playlist. Hey, Takia. My bad. I was typing it. I was trying to make sure because I was drinking Daytrina, trying to settle my nerves a little bit. I'm a little nervous today, so I'm gonna give y'all backstories to why I'm a little nervous. I was just trying to see if it was some more people joining, so I could just tell y'all at once, you know. And hi, sister. So, all right. So here we go. It's been on my heart to start this podcast, but I just keep making excuses as to why the podcast cannot be started. So then I was like, oh, I'm just going to go live and just talk about it via live. That way you guys can actually see me and see like the chaos that may be going on around since during this quarantine. However, I had a live set up. I want to say it was the beginning of this month. Lord Jesus. And the person, like, we didn't go live, and like I had posted it and I was like embarrassed because it didn't happen. So then I kind of got discouraged all over again. It was like, making an excuse why I can't do the podcast, making an excuse why I can't go live. So now today, my good friend right there, Vincent, aka the Layers of V, he was
Hey,
like,
y'all.
girl, get it together. We have things to discuss. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
okay, we got things to discuss. So we're going to discuss these things with you all this evening. And this may become, especially during these quarantine times, this may become a little Sunday night little ritual. We're gonna have some little subjects, drink a little something, something. What you sipping on tonight, hun?
Something that I made up. I don't know. Some
See,
vodka
look,
with some passion tea that I
Mm,
made,
mm.
and that's it. Some ice, no sugar.
Okay. Well, I haven't got to that level of have cute glasses in my house yet. So we're gonna drink out this little solo cup.
This is a stemless wine glass, so I'm being a little
Thank.
together with myself,
Because you're drinking a cocktail out of the
of a
wine
wine
glass.
glass. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We not gonna judge you.
No.
So tonight's topic is the rules of engagement when it comes to dating and relationships. So Vincent has been posting questions on his Instagram throughout the week. Some questions I've like said, oh, you should say this or you should ask that. But for the most part, this is like Vincent's thing to pose questions to his followers, asking them scenarios when it comes to relationships. So we're now just going to go into a in-depth conversation based off those questions that were asked and some of the feedback that he has received throughout the week. So, and then towards the end, we'll, give you a couple of key elements we feel as though is needed to sustain a healthy relationship. And I will also be transparent with you all towards the end too about how my husband felt about me going live tonight and pertaining to this topic. And I think some of my married friends on here will probably feel me when I give y'all that portion. So we're going right into the first question of the week.
Let's go. So real quick, the best part of this is that you give a a married perspective, whereas I'm giving a single perspective. I think it's going to be really interesting, a good conversation. Just thinking about some of the responses I got over the week. So I think it's going to be good to hear the feedback we get from some folks that are watching.
Yes, especially when people are like, somebody was like, oh, let me find out, what I'm saying, you're a little therapist, you giving out relationship advice. And I was like, well, honey, when you say I do, I think you have a different perspective when it comes to relationships, clearly. I mastered that, huh?
Come on, Dr. Ruth.
Okay. All right. So.
Okay, Amanda, don't start. It's a little early. Don't start.
All right. So the first question you asked this week was, would you date someone with less education than you?
Right.
So basically, I mean, what is your take on that? Like,
So
you asked the
I
question,
asked
but
that question because my friends tend to tease me about meeting people who have reached the pinnacle of their educational like status or whatever. Like, and I thought it was really interesting because I don't purposely like seek out people who have like PhDs or whatever the case may be, but I think I just am a little bit more drawn to those people, or right, and vice versa. But on the other hand, I can date somebody who doesn't have that stuff, right? Like I can date somebody who is an electrician or a plumber or whatever the case may be. But what's important for me is that you're able to have a stimulating intellectual conversation. I don't want it to always be hood because we can get hood and rock it out, but I need you to be able to flip and let's talk about the news, right? Like let's talk about stuff that's going on in the world. And so for me, the answer is yes, I can. And I think that the majority of the people that responded to that question said that they could. But there was some interesting feedback that I got. It was a poll. There's some interesting feedback that I got. Some people were like, oh, no, never again. I can't do it. Just based on bad or juju or bad blood that they had from a past relationship. And I thought it was really interesting. Somebody was like, they would never groom somebody and make them into something and then they leave them. And I thought that was interesting.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, so what do you think?
So for me, I feel like it does not matter like if you have a degree, you know what I'm saying? Because you can be just as intelligent as someone with a degree without one.
Absolutely.
I don't feel like a degree necessarily means you're smart because I know some people with degrees
Right.
that's not really smart. Okay, you may be book smart, maybe not have common sense, whatever the case may be. I just feel as though if you have more education than someone, I think that we may be attracted to people who have a higher level education than we do, because um that's something like, you may be trying to see. You get what I'm saying? There's growth there. So there's something for you to follow, or to be drawn to, versus someone who's on your same level. Like, we kind of plateaued. So I can see why people may say like they want to date, why they would say no and why they would say yes. But I don't think it's anything wrong with dating someone with less education than you.
I agree. I mean, it's
So,
interesting. I think it depends on who you. Some of it is yourself, right? Like how you see yourself, and some of it is if you think you're less than. Sometimes we run after those people who have more than us, right? So
hmm
sometimes that can be the draw, right? Like, oh, that person has done X, Y, Z. So you're living through their achievements and not the things that you've done. Just because maybe you haven't got or taken the time to study to get a certification, for example, right? Um, doesn't mean, like you said, you're not less than because that person has done that. And
right,
sometimes, good example in dating, I think that sometimes a person that you're dating can encourage you to be better, right? Doesn't mean
right.
that they take the time to invest money or anything else in making you better, but sometimes it's just a little bit of encouragement that you need. And I think that's how we have to look at it, right? Like versus
hmm
saying, I can't date that person because they don't have XYZ. And so, I mean, I have people around me that have made that investment in their spouse, and they're awesome, right? Like, and they're
Right.
rocking it out. Their relationships work. They may not make the same amount of money, but their relationships work, right? And I think that's
Mm.
dope.
And so, I mean, basically that one was a pretty, you started the week off, real chill right there with that question.
Flow,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Real,
yeah,
real slow. Nobody had to really pick their brains,
not.
on day one. So this one though. So when you posted this question, I was like, but I need to explain myself. Like, I feel like I need to explain like why I would say yes or no or whatever to this question. So your next question was, would you give your ex another chance, right?
Exactly.
And so like it's crazy because I don't want to be the pot calling the kettle black. Is that what it's right? That's the right saying, right?
Yep.
Because I'm the one person who then went back to their ex time and time again. We married now, but
Exactly.
who's to say that would have been our outcome? You get what I'm saying? I
Exactly.
feel like with this question, you know what I'm saying? I may tell somebody like, don't, why you gonna keep waiting? Like, why you want to go back and forth? Like, I feel like sometimes if you close a door, that chapter should be closed then, and then you move forward, right? But then I'm lying to you because I didn't do that. I didn't close the door and say bye. You get what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like I feel so. It's like a contradiction with this question with me because there's people. Go ahead, go
No,
ahead.
because I was gonna say because you definitely text me, and I had to be, in my normal shady way. I was like, "What? How
Like,
can you
girl.
tell me not to think about an ex, and you definitely married the ex?" Like
But
I was there. I remember the day we pulled over on the side of the road.
look, we're not gonna talk about that, okay? We're not gonna bring up
$5 though. I'm just saying.
good. It wasn't the $5. It was like I
Of
just
course,
wanted
it
I
wasn't
just
the
wanted
$5.
him, okay? But so I mean, how do you feel coming from your single perspective? Like, are you willing to take an ex back? Because I just feel like it's one thing if you're a light switch, like you kind of on again, off again, it's flip floppy.
Right.
But I mean,
So
sometimes you could be holding yourself back for something like greater. And I'm not
exactly.
saying like I feel that way. I'm just saying that you never know because you spend so much time thinking of worrying about the past. You're looking in your rear view, not looking ahead.
But I think that sometimes, so I'll use myself as an example. I'm not gonna say any names, but I think there are people in my past in particular that I have not given a fair chance, right? Like I am quick to, if I don't feel like something is moving at a certain pace, I'm quick to be like, okay, this is just not. It's not working. So it was funny because earlier this week, I think you saw I posted that little gif or meme about Virgos. I'm a Virgo, everybody. Um, and it definitely was me to it had me pinpointed, right? Like it was basically like you meet somebody, you talk, And then you get into this cycle of, okay, we're talking and yeah, we're just talking and we're not moving anywhere because you don't want to have the conversations that are difficult, right? And so when I look back at the things that the people that I've dated, I'm like, oh, wow, I actually didn't give that person a fair chance. Like, it's not that they were a bad person. It's just that I blocked my own self blocked my own self from being open and transparent with that person, right? And so when I think back, absolutely, there are a couple of people that I've dated that I'd be like, maybe I should give that person, or I would give that person another chance. Not I should, because yeah, I was younger. I was living my life, not worried about anybody else. And now at 30 something, my perspective is totally different than it was at 20 something, right? Like,
and so, like, with you saying that, I feel like I've never given anyone a fair chance because I feel like since June 2003, I knew who I wanted to be with.
right.
And so, anybody in between that time of us actually getting together or now being married, they was just like, we having fun. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but is that a disservice to myself? You get what I'm saying? Because I didn't really explore. You know what I'm saying?
But I think you knew what you wanted and you knew how about going to get what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Whereas for some of us, me, we say we know what we want, but we don't go after what we want, or we don't actively pursue what we want, right? And I think a part of that, like I said, is communicating with whoever you're dating. Like, I'm interested, I want to be here, and also understanding where they're coming from, right? And I think that is a challenge for a lot of people. Like, we're afraid to have those conversations because it's difficult and it's uncomfortable, but you have to do it, right? And I think the difference between me and you is you definitely like are not afraid to do that, right? Like, you knew where you were going, you knew what you wanted, and you made it happen. Like, you didn't ever stray away from what it was you were going after. Like, you let it be known, I want you, like, and that's what it is, right? And you made it work. Where as some other people just like, and I think the other part of it is the older you get, the harder it gets, right? Because you get more set in your ways. And don't get me wrong, we can all change. I totally believe we are capable of changing. But I think when you get set in your ways, it's much harder to bring somebody into your circle, into your bubble, like, because you have so much more stuff, right? Like, you're just carrying so much more stuff. So you're afraid to let people in the way that you should let them in.
Right. So I think we answered that question. You know,
Absolutely.
I don't want to beat it to death.
Nope.
So, okay, there's another question. I was like, no, first of all, I have to explain. I need to give you some backstory. That's probably a problem with me. Like, I feel like I always have to explain myself. I need
And
to
I
be
think
able
I
to
got
start.
all the explanations, actually.
I think I need to just be able to say yes or no and not feel like I need to explain it. But day 3, your question was, your partner confesses to cheating emotionally or physically. Do you stay? And I feel like I'm going to stay. But oh, hold on. I got to give you some stuff, okay? So, if your partner cheats on you emotionally, I feel like everyone cheats emotionally.
I
I
don't think
do.
that's fair. I don't think that's fair.
But I think you do, because there's always going to be a time where you may. Okay, rewind. Okay, I'm a Libra, so I'm just very like lively, very outgoing, very flirtatious. Even when I'm like not taking you serious, like I just can be flirtatious. I can say a little something, slick out my mouth or whatever.
Right.
To somebody, that could be cheating emotionally, because you're kind of entertaining someone, like, you're it's a tease. You get what I'm saying? This is like, so I maybe like say a little line on my mouth, that person could take it and run with it. You get what I'm saying?
That's true, but I think it also goes, you now have the responsibility to make sure that person knows their place, though, right? Like, and you have to, you can't let them run with it, right? Like, it's up to you to say, wait a minute, you know what the situation is, and
Yeah, like, boy,
like,
I'm just playing, but
right.
still, I feel like, but I think that we all have a tendency to emotionally. Okay, I don't want to say all because I know there's some people who like really aren't like that, but I think it's a possibility. I don't feel like emotionally cheating is something you should leave, especially if you're married. I don't feel like it's something you leave your marriage for. If you're dating and you're trying to go to another level and this keeps happening, that may be a sign, one of those red flags that this relationship may not be for you if you can't handle that. But I just you know um I think it's different. I think
So
it's a
I
little
think emotional cheating is a little bit deeper though. For me, when I was writing that question, I was thinking about, so I'm thinking about growing up and seeing adults around me like
mm,
who not necessarily having physical or intimate relations with the person, but going out with another person
mm,
and having conversations, whether it be about your marriage or your
mm-hmm.
situation at home, or whether it be about just you as an individual. Like, I think that is where I was getting at. Like, that's a line that should not be crossed, right?
So
Because
yeah, because I feel like emotional cheating can lead to physical cheating.
absolutely,
Because like what if it's that time your significant other has made you so upset. You get what I'm saying? So now
right,
you over here smiling, kikiing all up in this other person's face, and it's just like one thing led to another, blah blah blah. You
right,
get what I'm saying? But I feel like emotional cheating is worth having a conversation, and you can repair that, right?
right. I think that's what I just saw Lila's comment. She actually said that it goes back to those having those hard conversations in the thick of things. It is. I mean, that's something you discuss. I think
Yeah.
physical cheating though is,
Okay.
or being intimate with another person
All right.
is
So we got layers,
yeah,
okay?
we
We
do,
got layers to
we
that,
do, we
okay?
do.
So let me tell you, like, okay, I'm not in this situation, so I wouldn't know exactly how I would react if I was in this situation.
Right.
But speaking from right now, how I feel, if my husband was to cheat on me and then he created another life, I don't think I can forgive.
Okay. That's fair.
Okay. Now, if he cheats on me and it's just like, he gets caught, it's like we can, okay, maybe we can go to counseling, kind of work this out, see what happened. But to cheat on me and create another life, that means there was no regard for me because you just out here, just out there.
So, okay, so I have a question. So, do you think there are signs or indicators that your spouse could potentially cheat on you, right? Like, is there things that you as a wife, um, using your husband for example, are there things that you as a wife, if your husband started moving kind of funny, wouldn't you? Are there things that you would be like, maybe I
Yeah,
should pick up on that, or
yeah,
maybe we need to have a conversation,
yeah. There would be signs. You get what I'm saying? Because there would be distance.
right?
There wouldn't be as many intimate conversations. You get what I'm saying? Everything would kind of turn short. I mean, if he could play both sides, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but I feel like so someone just said most people today like to operate in a gray area.
So that's another topic that we discussed. So yeah,
Yeah. So I just, but that's one thing as of right now, I would say I'm not sure how we will move past that. You get what I'm saying? So
right,
that's why I was like, when you asked that question, I couldn't just yes or no because it was like, I got to be like, well, if it's this, then yes. But if it's that, it's no. You get what I'm
right,
saying? And I don't
right,
think that anyone can really truly answer that question. Like anybody who said yes, like straight yes or no, straight no, like, were you in that situation? I feel
right.
like this is one of those things you have to be in that situation to see, can we move past this? You
And I
know?
agree. I think there is a little bit of a difference when it comes to like a individual that's single versus somebody who's married, right? Like if you're just
Right.
dating and there's no attachment or no ties that keep you there beyond the fact that you're in a relationship, and once you part ways, you're just done with each other. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a little bit of a difference. But I think that, so on that gray area comment, I think that we do operate in the gray area, and I also think that want to have our cake and eat it too, especially as single people, right? Like,
yes, or someone who's just dating, because
yeah,
technically you're single until you're married. So
absolutely.
even
So,
if that's your boyfriend, your girlfriend, like still
yep,
like, and if like you said, like there's no ties, like
yeah,
if you cheat on me, I could easily just be like to the left,
exactly. But
emotional or physical.
yeah, no, I agree. But I think that's hard though. Like, it's easy to say that, but it's hard when you've invested time in a person, right? So we can
Yeah.
jump back to our first conversation. If you've started helping to build this person up, like that's hard to say, I'm leaving. Like
Right.
you didn't put in all this time to
Mm,
build them because you thought you were building a foundation for your relationship, and boom, this happens, right? Like
exactly.
I don't know. I think cheating is hard. I think again, I think it goes back to having the conversation. If either party feels like there's something not right or something going on, like, or you just bored, right? Like, because that's a
Mm.
real thing. Like people get bored. Go to your partner and have that conversation. And maybe there's something that they can do. Maybe you all maybe a little into some other things, and y'all may want to spice up your life a little bit.
Hold up.
And
Hold up.
hey, I think that's fair, right?
So also, I mean, another thing, like also when it when okay, so now I'm gonna kind of feel like like I'm contradicting myself though. Okay,
Okay.
so you dating, right, and you step out. Okay, you cheat.
Right.
Okay, how I'm supposed to know like this is where I really wanted to be if I make a mistake and see like I messed up? This is where I want to be. No.
I mean, we all make mistakes, and it's up to you to be forgiving.
Yeah,
I,
that's one of those you have to be. I don't know.
right.
I mean, you had to some time really had to be invested in. It's like, do I really want to reconsider this? But that's one of those you can't just yes or no that. I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
tell
that's
you
a
now.
yes
My
or no.
answer, no, my answer is hell no.
Hell, that's because that's why you single because you quick
that's
to just throw it away.
that's fine.
So how you gonna end up in a relationship if you quick to just cut somebody off?
Listen, life has been good thus far. I don't need those problems. Not
Okay.
like that. Like I don't want that. I don't want those problems. Like I feel like I I think everybody
And
needs
out.
companionship. I know, right? And everybody needs companionship, but I don't think it's fair to
Ooh, yes. That's what
I
I
don't think
said.
it's fair to subject yourself to stuff when it's what I
Yes.
mean.
Yes, Amanda. That's exactly what was going to. I was thinking, I was going to start saying that too. Amanda said it. It ain't nothing. Cut that. Oh. Mm.
And that's why that individual was standing on the side of 295.
See, but okay. Come back. Come back.
Carrying
Come
on.
back. Come back. Come back.
All right, we're back.
So,
We're back. We're
all right.
back.
All right. So,
Always the
boom.
Capricorns. Just saying. Just saying.
Just
Both of
being
them.
messy. Both of them being messy. They tag teaming you.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, this was a good question though, because especially in our day and age, like we no longer court.
Right.
So I'm gonna go ahead and jump to that question. So, how long before you give a title to someone while you're dating? That was a good one.
Yes.
And then, what is dating? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is dating after 30? I guess, or after 25? Like, do we still say, "Will you be my girlfriend? Will you be my boyfriend?" Or is it kind
Right.
of like, "Oh, we're together." Like we've been doing this, and this, and
And
that's my
now we're
boyfriend.
together.
Or,
You just
or
have
it's
it's
like,
understood.
or it's like you go to the family cookout and you get introduced like, "Oh, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend." It's like, "Oh, we together. Okay, we together. I didn't know till
News
today.
of the
It's
day. News
official."
alert. News flash.
Boom. Okay. So what I mean, I so everyone on here, I've been with my now husband. We'll be married 5 years in August. I guess you could say we've been in a serious committed relationship. It's been 10 years now, or almost 10 years. So I don't know what it's like to date in this day and age. Like, so I don't know, um, how long.
So let's go back. So this question, actually, if you think about all the things we already talked about, I think that the gray area is what this all boils down to, right? It's so easy for us to be in that gray area because at past 25, you're doing things you're doing things on your own. You really aren't looking for somebody to help. Most people, I shouldn't say all people, but most people are not looking for somebody to help them be better necessarily. Like they don't need somebody. If you're doing things on your own, if you're living life, whether no matter where you live, right, or how you live, but if you're doing it, if you're getting up going to work every day, if you're paying your bills on your own, if you're doing all of those things, after a certain age, you're not looking for somebody. You're looking for more of the companion, right? You're looking for somebody to be there in not necessarily just for intimate moments, but for all the moments when you need that other person, right? So being transparent, right? Quarantine has been really hard for me, or social distancing, whatever you want to call it, has been really hard for me. And it's actually put into perspective, right? Like, it would be nice to have somebody to call on. Like, I call my friends and I talk to my friends, but it's like, you guys, it's like, damn, everybody has a family, everybody's married. And not that I have to keep up, but it's like, maybe it's time to like start thinking seriously about that other half, right? And I think, like I said, we operate in a gray area. I've been in a couple of situations that have lasted way too long in the gray area. And
that's time wasted, right?
Absolutely. And it's like for me, it's more of the fear of just having that conversation of like, okay, what are we doing? Because I need to know.
So the question really is, when do we have that? What are we doing?
Right.
Where is this going? Conversation.
Right.
That's when does that take place? You get what I'm saying? So it goes back to like growing up, how we used to have like that 90-day rule. you were supposed to do stuff in 90 days or whatever. So it's just kind of like, I feel like, because that was you did like it was 3 questions for that, like 3 answers they could have given you, right? Like go with the flow.
So I think it was 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or just go with the flow.
Right. So I kind of feel like each situation, person that you're dating, like that's what it's going to end up having to be, like going with the flow, because you don't want to put a time on it, and then it's like, okay, we didn't meet that 2 months ago, so now I got to break up with him. Like now I can't date them no more.
Right.
So I think it is more so like that's a go with the flow type of.
But for me, like I agree to some extent, like, but for a person like me who is not a little, I am afraid to have those conversations where it's like, what are we doing? Because you don't want to get your feelings hurt, right? Like you may be more invested in a situation than the other person is, and it's like, oh damn, like now what do I do? Do I walk away from the situation or do I stay here? Yeah, I mean that's true. You still have to ask the question, but it's still scary, right? Like,
because it's a moment where you can kind of get rejected,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, well, we're not going anywhere,
right?
Or we're fine at this pace. You get what I'm saying? So, but that's one of those conversations. Like, if you're serious, like if you know what you're looking for, then you're gonna have that conversation. And if that person gives you the answer that you're not looking for, like that's your sign. But people gonna try to ignore it, be like, okay, I'm gonna ask again in 3 months, and then you're just gonna get strung along, and that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I went almost 2 years like that, so I get it. I mean, but it's hard. I don't know. It's tough. Like, I feel like you can do all of the things that are relationship oriented and just assume that it is what it is, or you can have that conversation and, like Lamont said, you can be rejected, right? And rejection is a fear for most people, right? Especially, like I said, when you get to a certain age, you're like, look, it's good, I like it, it's flowing, like.
So then you're getting complacent.
That's just true. Like, that's true.
And then at the end of the day, then you can only be upset with yourself for like that time wasted.
That's so true.
That you could have been spending with the right one.
And I also think it goes back to like beginnings, right? So how you learn to have those conversations.
Sis just commented a word.
That is a word, Chelsea. You
That is
better
a
come through,
word.
Chelsea.
Okay.
Rejection can
Maybe
be a
y'all
blessing.
need to
Come
be
on,
out
Chelsea.
here asking them uncomfortable questions, getting that rejection you need so your time is not wasted.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. But so
Rejection
my
is
thing is,
not.
are we travel partners? Are we friends with benefits? Are we
Do
are
we
we
go out to brunch on Sundays?
what are we doing? Come on, Chelsea, you better come through, reject me.
Yes, reject me. Hold on, it was one more. I think once you're at the point where you're ready to accept rejection, the hard questions become easy, not comfortable, but easier to ask.
Oh, that's true.
Okay?
That's true. But how long does that take, though? That's the thing. Like, for some people, so, like, for me, right? Like, it could take, like I just said, 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the point where you're like, okay, enough. I can't do it anymore. But you just wasted 2 years. And not to say that, so in my situation, right? Knowing what I knew about the situation, that it wasn't really, we weren't defining what it was. I didn't stop, like, entertaining other people, but I was still focused on that one particular person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard thing. It's like, you either got to be in it or not. Like,
right. So, like, another transparent moment. So me and my husband met 2003. We dated in 2003. We dated again in 2005. Seemed like something was going to happen in 2008, but we really ain't put no title on it, so I don't count that as a go round. But in 2010,
I'm going
I
to sip my
said,
drink on that.
huh? You gonna drink on that? So in 2010, I was like, look, third time's three strikes you out. You get what I'm saying? And I let it be known there, like, if it didn't work this time, it wasn't going to work. Like, it's over. And I feel like I had the uncomfortable conversation. You get what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to give him an ultimatum, but I was trying to let him know, like, we're getting older. Granted, back then I was, 22, 23, but still, I don't want to keep playing this game with you. So,
But look how long it took you to get there, though, right? 3
but I
strikes
was
and
younger
you're out.
too. I was younger.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
was 16, 18.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
get what I'm saying?
That's
so
true.
It's like, but now at 30, 32, how I wouldn't be. No, that's fine.
And then I also think it's different for somebody who, let's just say, you may have been in a past relationship and you have children, or like, it depends on your life circumstance too. Whereas I don't have any of that type. I don't have any kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's just me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my tolerance is a little bit different, where it shouldn't be. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making an excuse. It should not be what it is when it comes to that. But I think when you have made serious life like commitments, you have kids, or you've been married, or you've had a serious relationship before, I think you look at it a little bit different, right? Like,
True.
the gray area is like, hell no. Like Chelsea said, nope, I'm not doing it, right? Where for me, it's like, I can operate there a little bit.
But Chelsea hasn't had tolerance her whole life. So I don't even know. Like, she talking about she have no tolerance, girl. When did you have tolerance, girl? Okay, so I guess that's a question. Like, if you're watching, go ahead, drop in the comments. Like, what is your estimated time? Like, when do you get that stamp? She said never.
You have to define it at some point. You have to say what it is at some point.
Okay, like, and then how do you say it too? Like, right. I want to hear from people in the comments who are not in a are not married. Or, well, if you're married, because given when you got married, like, how do you go about, like, oh, that's my boyfriend, or that's my girlfriend? Because I feel like when you're saying we're dating, you could be dating multiple people. You get what I'm saying?
Did y'all have a paper? Did y'all check yes or no? Will you my boyfriend,
right.
My
you know what I'm saying?
Yes
do we still do that? Like, do you like me? Will you be my girlfriend?
Like,
can I have a chance? Like,
exactly.
So,
that's a good point, Daytrina. I never, like, when you have kids, you have to think about whether that person is compatible with your kids. That's a good point.
Yeah, that is true.
A really good point.
It does get that is a little sticky, because of course you don't want to bring your kids around everyone you're dating.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Amanda said 2 months. No one. Chelsea said never. So I'm trying to see if anybody else has any, when it comes to that. I feel like a lot of people, as I've grown, I don't really have many single friends. You get what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's because it's like my single friends are kind of like, we don't have much in common anymore.
So
and then
that's
you end up
interesting you
with
brought that up.
lots of married friends.
That's interesting you brought that up. Because I've been talking about this or having this conversation, just like thinking about it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I think I talked to Amanda about this recently, but I know.
Yes. That's a
true.
cancer.
That's
a
true.
cancer.
That's
Cancer
true.
that she ain't playing.
That's true.
From the get go. Like,
Exactly.
what's that?
But
You gonna be my boyfriend or no?
But so it's easy to say that though. I feel like me personally, I think it's easy to say that, but it's so much harder for somebody else to come in and be like, boom, I want this.
He asked, how do you feel about me? And we discussed. I said I wasn't ready for a relationship. I know you ain't playing, sis. So going to that, like, I'm sorry, going to that comment right there, I feel like I missed out on something because I was talking to someone, and when we first started talking, he was like, what you want? And I was like, oh, I'm just looking for a friendship. Who would have known I would have still been talking to him like years later? Then it was like I wanted more than that, but I entered this as a friendship. You get what I'm saying?
So somebody recently said something to me. I don't know if that person is watching, but they said something to me about like somebody made a comment to them that I'm just looking for a friend. And that person said, I put that person in that box. I'm not looking for anything more from that person because all they want is a friend, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's interesting because it's like, well, if I come to you and say I'm looking for a friend, but deep down inside my desire is to find something a little bit more, are you being protective by saying you're just looking for a friend, or do you really want more, right? So is it your responsibility to dig deeper, or you just accept it at face value?
I think if I was ever to be in that situation again, I would never say I'm just looking for a friend. I would just say I'm looking to see where this will go. Like, no. I don't want to label it. If I label it.
So you just going with the flow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And you're operating in the gray area. Like, come on.
All right. So you cut yourself short by entering saying you just want to be friends. Right.
Exactly.
And that's what I did.
Exactly.
Like, so I wouldn't do that. I'm not gonna label it. What are you saying no today, Trina? I will be in the gray area. But
she's
okay,
right.
we in
that's
the gray area.
You.
Okay, we're in the gray area, but it's no label. So that means I still have chance to say, like, oh, this is what I want it to be.
But that person may have, like, okay, I don't know. They don't want anything from me. I'm going to move on to the next thing, right? Like,
go ask your dad. Go ask your dad.
I'm like,
go
what?
Go ask your dad. Get out. I told you. Bye.
She got kids, y'all.
Sorry.
See, that's what I'm talking about. This is why I don't have no kids.
No, it was the girl. So
somebody Lila said, can I give the spill on my most recent dating timelines?
Oh. Go ahead, drop them, sis. Drop them. Sis, what? Do I need to swap out?
So the most recent dating timeline. So up until what? I would say like late, sometime last year. That was the 2-year situation that I gave a lot of attention to that I shouldn't have given a lot of attention to. But I was also, my feelings got caught up in something that they shouldn't have been caught up in. And there were signs along the way that I should have, sorry?
It was lust.
It was, no, I don't think so. Like, we traveled together. We spent a lot of time together outside of his other commitment, which took up a lot of that person's of his time. I already said here, so it don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Of his time. Look at Lamont. But I feel like there were signs along the way that were indicators to me that I should have just left it alone. Like, right? Like, you know, when I used to work and it required travel, remember, I think I shared the story with you, but I was away and I saw something on social media that was like, what the fuck? What?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't address it in that moment, but when I did address it, it was like,
it was too late.
It was.
It was too late. So that's you can't do that. Like, you can't oh, 6 months later, like, oh, well, back in June, back in December, I had saw this. What was that? Like, come on. So,
So
but
that's the Virgo in me, though. I guess I'm trying to be a detective and like trying to analyze everything. So I'm gonna keep watching because I want to figure out. I want to put all the pieces to the puzzle together. Like I want to figure out, like, let me have a full story so I can come back at you and you're not gonna have no defense. And that's wrong. I should have just addressed it, right? Because I
yeah,
wasted a lot of my time, right?
because that right there really goes in with your next question
It
that you had
does.
posed this week,
It does.
and so I'm gonna drop the question. So, how do you or can you hold someone accountable in the dating phase? So clearly, you feel as though you cannot hold someone accountable because you brought it up several months later.
And that's funny because I feel like with that person I didn't, but with someone else I did. Like I felt like
Because you probably didn't care about that person, and like how much you care about the other person.
maybe that could be it. But
Yeah.
I think no. I think the other person was just so. Okay, this person was very. The last person that I dated was very vocal and very strong-minded. The other person was not so much, and it was like I have to pull it out of you, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get you to tell me what you're feeling, and that's hard. I'm not. I don't want to be pulling. Like just tell me what you feel, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
tell me how you're feeling. I see how you're moving, which is to me is an indicator that you're definitely interested. But and with that person, I spent probably 3 or 4 nights out of the week with that person. We weren't in a relationship, but we spent lots of time together, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are so simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, I was just being stubborn.
So I feel to answer this question, right, which is another like you would have to type an answer. Like that question should be posed as typing the answer. Did they have a degree? You. She came for you, friend.
In fact, that person does have multiple
Multiple
degrees.
degrees.
All of them have
Multiple.
multiple degrees.
So, I think this is the answer to this question, right? When you feel like you're trying to hold them accountable for something, that's when you need to have that conversation on what we're going to be.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So that's when you know in the midst of your dating, like, okay, now it's time to move forward. Because now I want to hold you accountable. Like, what was this on your Instagram story?
Oh, everybody is being shady. Everybody says I have a type. We all know it's type.
We know you have a type. I wasn't
Wow.
gonna go there with you, but I'm gonna let you live.
Wow.
The comments
Wow.
gonna eat you up. I'm gonna let
Wow.
you live.
That's not what this was supposed to be about.
I'm gonna let you live though. So now for the messiness. Last question that was posed this week. Then we're gonna drop some gems on the peoples, right?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Would you date a friend or family member of someone you used to talk to?
My answer, which I didn't share, my answer would be no.
No.
I don't think that's cool. I think it's a little like shady. Now, if I didn't know that they were related and I found out later on, obviously there's nothing I can do about that. But going into it knowing, nah, that's fine.
But being that you would know because you're a detective, yeah,
I probably wouldn't know right away. Not right away. Not right
Go
away.
ahead, drop your answer in the comments. Would you date a friend or family member of someone you used to talk to?
Now, a trashy person that I used to date said that this was his exact comment.
Hold on, wait. I'm so sorry.
Not anymore.
Look at Amanda and then look at some.
Not anymore. Yo, y'all are hilarious. A trashy person that I used to date said that absolutely, why would I block my blessing? That could be my soulmate.
Ooh.
And I understand where said individual was coming from, but trash.
Friend, yes. Family member, no. I was young. We've all been young. I was
We
young
have.
too. I was young too.
She said we're all from the same damn
We
place.
are. I mean, it's really hard not to date people that you know when you live in a little circle and you don't branch out. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So that's why in high school, by the time I got to high school, even in middle school, I ain't really talk to people who I went to school with. First of all, everybody talk too much.
You were just fast. That's all.
Mind your business, because I was holding my cookie jar closed tight for a little bit.
Also, can I just say I haven't seen you pick up your cup one time.
I did. I don't know why you didn't. I did pick up my cup.
It's been real
Look,
subtle.
my eyes about to start getting low.
It's been real subtle, like real subtle.
I'm trying to be classy because you have
hold
a
on,
cup,
hold on.
and
Let's
I got
back
this
up.
Dixie cup.
Daytrina said that's why you branch out. No.
Yes, that's why we was out Branch Avenue. She and I, we was out there on that side of town. So
fast.
Okay, so me and Chelsea did date the same person.
Oh.
We did. It was my puppy love. So if it wasn't, if I didn't marry my husband, I really thought I was gonna marry this person.
Well, now I'm about to be a little shady because your husband dated a friend of yours at one point too.
My
right?
husband dated
a former friend of yours.
First of all, I'm trifling, and I've been trifling my whole life for real, basically, because when I met my husband, he was going out with a person who was my friend. Like, we were best friends in elementary school, but by high school, you know, that wasn't my friend, like best friend. But then we went to college, and then we was best friends again, and then, you know, it's a lot, okay? Oh, look at him. You see that?
I see it.
See, look, so yeah, you know, I don't like this question. Okay.
Oh, you sweating? You all right?
A little bit. I think I'm
okay.
Hold on, wait. Pause. Talk. I gotta have it.
It was funny when the comments were coming from me, though. Okay.
I need to drink. Hold on.
But seriously, though, I think that
we was young. Okay, you can't count that when I was 15, 16.
It counts. It counts.
She saw me coming out his house too, but we friends now.
Wow.
We friends. That's my girl.
Wow.
Now the other girl,
Lamont says you gotta go now, sis. Lamont says you gotta go now.
Yeah, we's not as close as we was, and it's because of him. But guys, how did we get here? Go back.
Go back. It was about me a little while ago, so we're being about you because we're being transparent.
I'm the hostess with the mostest.
We're being transparent.
I was transparent enough, okay? I just don't know how this conversation can come back, and I'm a little nervous. Hold on.
Uh-oh. Now she had to take a drink, y'all.
I got
another drink, y'all. Wow.
Yeah, I was sipping it, but now I gotta.
It's all right.
Okay, look. My husband is trifling. How about that? Put it on him.
Whoa. Delante, you heard that?
Put it on him. So, anyways, okay. I have dated someone that my friend dated. I feel like it's two different scenarios, and that could be saved for another day. How about that? Fair. I'll have a whole conversation about that another day.
Look, Mom, look.
She think it's funny. Okay, so look. Let me tell you something, okay?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Are we headed to our rules of
we giving the rules. Our gems? We dropping gems. All right. What is the number one most important overall rule when it comes to being in a relationship, being in a committed relationship? Communication. Okay. Effective communication.
Yep.
Open lines of communication.
And listening.
Not talking at each other, but to each other. It's so important. You won't go anywhere without that. Okay. So all my single folks who may be watching, to all my people who are in a relationship and don't know how to effectively communicate, please put this down. It's your number one gem. Communication. Second gem, if you start in a relationship, you need to have an idea of what you're looking for when you go into it.
Somebody said that. Who said that?
Who said it? Somebody said it in here?
Earlier, somebody said that you should be open up front about what you want. Was that
Oh,
was it
could have been
Sasha
Chelsea or
or
could have been
Chelsea?
Sasha.
Yeah.
One of them. You must be open-minded. I feel like if you go into the relationship closed-minded, like you're not going to get anywhere, you're going to break up. Like, because as soon as things go left, instead of you looking at the glass half full, you're looking at the glass half empty. Like, bloop, bloop. It's not going anywhere. I do think it's important to create and set boundaries.
Boom.
Okay? There are certain things that need to be addressed up front.
Like whether or not it's allowed to go out, you're allowed to go out with another man or woman.
Okay.
Or, cause let's just be real. Like and I'm not trying to jump or interfere with that, but I think there are different types of relationships, right? So I think that people are in different, unique types of relationships. Some people believe in having an open relationship. So I think boundaries are super important because how do you navigate that? How do you keep it
going? So another thing, a good scenario to use with this is you must have trust in your relationship.
Yeah.
The perfect, like I told the kids this the other day, but it was good because it was good for me to see it like that too. So it's like it's been out on the internet for a long time. It's probably a gem that was dropped years ago. So you break a plate, right? When you say I'm sorry to the plate, does that fix the plate?
Nope. Plate's broken.
It's broken. And that's just how fragile trust is. You get what I'm saying?
Really
just
good,
like that broken plate.
That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah. So that's why I was teaching the kids that. But I think that also is very important in relationships, that we cannot say I'm sorry for everything because sorry starts to get old.
Good point.
All right. Next, Jim. Honesty. You have got to be honest. At the first moment you start sweeping stuff under the rug, not letting it all go out, you know what I'm saying, telling the truth, like how you feeling about something, you know, just like sugarcoating it, like, oh, I'm upset, but I ain't that upset, so I don't want to address it. So you're not honest about your feelings, you know, honest about your, you know, like, honey, you're only hurting yourself.
Yep, a little lie turns into a big lie really quickly.
Okay. And intimacy, and I'm not just saying sex, just overall, just intimacy.
Yeah.
If you think sex is just intimacy, I need you to go get a dictionary. I need you to go look it up and go figure it out. Now, we only have 1 minute and 54 seconds left, so I just want to drop y'all off with this, right? When my husband saw the topic for what Vincent and I were going to discuss tonight, he said, like, how can a married woman talk about dating and relationships? And I'm like, did you forget we used to date? Did you forget that we were once boyfriend and girlfriend? That's a relationship.
And you're still in a relationship.
We're now in a committed relationship.
Right.
So all my married folk, I know y'all feel me, because once they buy that cow, they ain't trying to go milk it, okay? They is not trying to date us. They be forgetting. We still need to date. We still need to date. So even when you get into this relationships, I need you to date one another.
That's
all
a good
the
topic
time,
to discuss.
okay, even during quarantine.
Yeah, that's a good topic.
Do y'all need me to have a whole nother? You need me to drop some list of things y'all could do during quarantine? My husband and I did a sip and paint, virtual sip and paint. You can have a picnic. You can take a walk in the park. Put your mask on 6 feet. But to make sure that you never forget to date each other. Okay? And I just want to thank all of you all for being so engaging. I'm like so excited.
Yeah, it's a really good conversation.
Yes, thank you so much, Vincent. Like, for real, we gotta come back next week.
We do.
Let's work on some questions that we're gonna ask throughout the week.
And you're gonna have a good cup next week.
I'm gonna have a good cup. I'm gonna find me a cup.
Maybe we'll be together.
Amazon,
who knows?
give me a cup.
Maybe we can sit together and have a conversation together.
Okay. We can sit 6 feet away from each other at your house.
That's true.
It's quiet over there. They had to be on Saturday night instead of Sunday.
That's fair.
All right. Well, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Till next time.
Till next time, y'all. Good night.